Good evening, City Council. I'm Kathleen Mallory. I'm the Planning and Sustainability Manager, and I'm presenting with Joe Pearson, the Planning and Environmental Services Manager. We're presenting on the 2022 General Plan and Housing Element Annual Progress Report. The General Plan and Housing Element Annual Progress Report is a requirement from the Governor's Office of Planning and Research and the State Department of Housing and Community Development. There's a requirement that that report be submitted by April 1st each year. And the purpose is to give an update on the status of the city's general plan update, as well as the city's general plan if you're not updating it, describe how the city is doing in implementing the general plan, and then also give documentation on how the city is doing in meeting the goals of its regional housing needs assessment. And this is a requirement that this report gets submitted on a yearly basis. The state law requires that we prepare and adopt a comprehensive plan known as a long-range planning document or a general plan, and that master plan that we did for Oxnard is known as the 2030 General Plan. That is a long-term plan that tells decision makers how land use actions should be managed and how they should occur in the city. And it helps to guide the fiscal development of land use decisions. And all land use decisions must be found consistent with the general plan or a general plan amendment initiated with sufficient findings to support that change. During 2022, there were 3 general plan amendments. One was for the development of a residential project known as Portofino Place. The other was an amendment to the safety and hazards element to implement the Ventura County multi-jurisdictional plan. And then also the approval of an amendment to our adopted 2021-2029 housing element. I'll touch briefly on the 3 general plan amendments which occurred in 2022 on the next few slides. The Portofino Place project was an amendment to the general plan to approve a 90-unit residential project, which was to be built on 2 vacant lots, which were located on the south side of 5th Street at the intersection of Portofino Place. Findings to support that approval were made by the City Council, and that was approved by Council in April of 2022. The other general plan amendment was an amendment to the city's general plan safety and hazards element to ensure that that document was in compliance and consistent with the County of Ventura multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. The council approved that multi-jurisdictional plan in September of 2022, and to ensure that the city's safety element was consistent with the policy directives of the multi-jurisdictional hazard plan. Later in the year, the City Council approved minor changes to the safety element to ensure that it was consistent with that prior council approval in terms of how to address natural and human-made hazards such as drought, earthquakes, floods, sea level rise, tsunamis, and wildfires. The final general plan amendment, which occurred in 2023, was the City Council's approval of the housing element and to ensure that it met the statutory requirements of providing housing for all segments of the community. In October of 2022, the City Council approved an amended adopted housing element, which addressed comments that the city received from the State of California Department of Housing and Community Development. Subsequent to Council's approval of that amended housing element in October of 2022, later in October, HCD issued a certification letter of the city's amended, adopted final housing element. In terms of pending general plan amendments, which will be considered by the City Council in 2023, is one, the Teal Club Specific Plan Project, which has been making its way through the development permitting process. It's a proposed specific plan, which will include the potential to build 990 residential units of varying density, 24 acres of a community park, 8 acres of public, semi-public use, 4 acres of mixed use, a retail, commercial, as well as 10 acres of a business and research park. The adopted Teal Club specific plan and pre-zoning would allow for the future annexation of the area and 7 agricultural parcels south of the project, which is consistent with the Local Agency Formation Commission's guidance to not leave islands of areas surrounded by city development. A draft environmental impact report for the project was out and approved and out for public review in December of 2021. And right now, city staff is finalizing response to comments on that document with the intent of taking the approval process or the approval for the document and the project through public hearings in 2023. The Malhart project in the Northeast Community Specific Plan sub-neighborhood area, which is on the northeast corner of Rose Avenue and Camino del Sol, is also a pending general plan amendment, which will come before City Council in 2023. The proposed project creates a sub-neighborhood plan within that Northeast Community Specific Plan, which will create the framework for development of between 500 to 950 residential units of varying density, as well as approximately 40,000 square feet of commercial use, all on 56 acres on the project site. Right now, there is a proposal for a tentative track map, which will create 14 master lots for development of the project, as I've laid out, and as you see in the first bullet. The project will also provide for 11 acres of parks and a 5.4 acre expansion of the East Village Park as well. In terms of active long-range projects which are currently going forward and which will be considered also by City Council in 2023, the city staff has been working on an update to the city's inclusionary housing ordinance. That's one of the programs that was recommended within the amended approved housing element. We began that process of updating the ordinance through community engagement in early 2022. We've been having a variety of public workshops with residents, affordable housing advocates, developers, and we also had a number of discussions with those groups multiple times to receive input and their ideas regarding updates to the inclusionary housing ordinance. In November of last year, the Community Services, Public Safety, Housing and Development Committee provided policy direction on key questions which would help inform the creation and writing of an updated ordinance. We prepared that ordinance and met with members of the community and affordable housing advocates in the end of January and received input from them on that draft document. Later in the spring, this draft ordinance update will be reviewed by the Planning Commission and City Council. In terms of work that happened in 2022, staff reviewed background information in prior years, which was needed to help inform the city's local coastal plan update. In 2023, the city will reinitiate work on the city's update to the local coastal plan. The LCP update project is a planning and outreach process that will revise the city's existing local coastal plan to bring it into conformance with current policy directives and approaches to address climate change adaptation strategies, such as those related to sea level rise. City staff has been putting together a request for proposal document and will reinitiate this work effort in 2023. On October 18, 2022, the City Council approved the city's first climate action and adaptation plan. The CAAP is a plan for reducing greenhouse gases that contribute to global climate change and for adapting to the anticipated effects of climate change. The CAAP was developed to align with California's statewide emission reduction target mandates of SB 32, which requires the city's reduction in greenhouse gas emissions to 40% below 1990 levels by 2030. The CAAP was developed to comply with the 2030 General Plan Sustainable Communities Chapter, goal number 1, which states, supporting and participating in global warming and climate change adaptation analysis and programs. In addition to continued progress in larger developments in the city, such as the Wagon Wheel Project and River Park, there was a significant increase in the amount of proposed and approved development in downtown and within the Sakioka Farms area in 2022. Two development projects highlighted on this slide will produce 143 units, which will be 100% affordable, as well as 13,078 square foot homeless shelter and a 2,400 square foot commercial space. In the downtown, also, two downtown projects which are currently under plan check review include the Sandpiper project, which will provide 56 units, of which 6 will be affordable, and also 3,545 square feet of commercial space. The Urban Lofts project will provide 20 units, of which 2 will be affordable, and 357 square feet of commercial space will be provided. Also in the downtown, the C Street apartment project will provide 175 units, of which 18 will be affordable, and 1,145 square feet of commercial space will be provided. On June 16, 2022, City Council approved a development agreement between the city, Sakioka Farms, and AMS Craig, and a tentative tract map, which subdivided the 430-acre area within the Sakioka Farms Business Park specific plan. That subdivided the area into 129 lots with new roads and sidewalks, stormwater management, landscaping, and associated utilities. As a result of these approvals, 2 major developments were approved in the Sakioka development area in 2020. The first development was the approval of a 1.5 million square foot multi-story e-commerce storage and distribution center. The second was a 576,000 square foot cold storage building and fruit processing facility. These projects began operation in 2022. As development continues, this is furthering the goals of the general plan that aim to promote economic development through job creation and cold storage projects. In 2020, the applicant team for River Park specific plan area submitted a request to amend that document that would allow for the development of up to 1,025 additional residential units under that specific plan. That action and request was in exchange for reducing approximately 562,457 square feet of non-residential development in accordance with the approved development plan. The project was approved by the City Council on March 15, 2022, as an amendment to the plan to swap out the commercial square footage to allow for residential. The first project resulting from this approval was the 333-unit 4 apartment project at River Park, which was approved by the Planning Commission in July of 2022. This project is currently in plan check and is expected to start construction in 2023. In terms of smaller development in the city's accessory dwelling unit program has been very successful. In 2022, we received 327 planning applications, which represents a 53% increase in applications compared to 2021. Housing development activity has been robust in 2022. In 2022, planning approval was granted for the construction of 1,075 units. 270 building permits were issued, and 160 certificate of occupancies were granted for occupancy of residential units. The city is making great strides in meeting its regional housing needs assessment goals, and in 2022, we issued 270 building permits to construct housing units in the following income categories: 101 units in the very low income category, 78 units in the low income category, 3 moderate income units, and 88 above moderate income units. Our recommendation this evening is that the City Council receive and file the City of Oxnard's 2022 General Plan and Housing Element Annual Progress Report. This concludes the presentation, and we are happy to answer any questions.